Hello friend, Jim here with JB's Big Adventure, coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. And right now I'm here at the Plaza of Chapala with a different background. I wanted to bring something different to you. So this video is all about the pros and cons of retiring here to Lake Chapala. So I always believe in getting the bad news first. That way the good news stays with you. So let me go through, and this is going to be, I'm going to try to make this as short as possible, but it's, I really tried to, instead of, just being positive about everything, share with some folks what some folks have issues and challenges with. Starting on number one, reliable utilities. All depending on where you live along the north shore of Lake Chapala is going to depend on how new it is. If things have been upgraded, it's Mexico. So a lot of things here, the culture here isn't necessarily at the same standard as we expect in the States and in Canada. So it all depends on where you're going to be about the reliability of utilities. And that could be power outages during storms. It can be actual water outages, or once the electricity goes out, the pumps don't pump the water. So that's something that's important depending on where you're going to live here. If that is something, in fact, that's important to you. And that also talks about, too, about the plumbing. A lot of the plumbing here in Mexico, because it's old, it's really small. So it's somewhat restricted. That's the reason why you come visit here, you'll hear people talk about, well, you can't flush the toilet paper down this toilet or that toilet because of the fact that they don't have an upgraded system. So something that's really important to know about in advance, and some would see as being a con. That also goes with high-speed internet, all depending on where you're going to live. High speed comes from basically two ways, or even cable, satellite, fiber optic. So depending on where you would choose to live would depend if you would be able to have high-speed internet. Now, we actually live in a community that gives us the ability of having high-speed internet. I mean, we don't have the highest. I mean, I think we have 300, and I think it's $30 a month, I believe is what the cost is for that to be able to have, because I need to have it where I can upload videos to YouTube. Cell phone service. So if you are with AT&T or Verizon, getting good cell phone service here at Lake Chapala might be somewhat of a challenge. I can't tell you what it all is because I'm not aware of all the, I guess what I could say are the technical terms and all. But I tend that when folks come down to take my tour and they're looking to relocate here, I've had folks that have had AT&T and Verizon that have issues with trying to use their phones here. So that's something else to take into account. Barbara and I, we've got T-Mobile. We've had it, well, I've had it for like 20 years. But we've actually had it the 4 years we've been here, and we've had no problems. Banking, a con. There's some parts of that where when we were towards COVID, folks that were wanting to buy things, like buy a house, were having real challenges trying to get their money. We've got one friend, one of our subscribers, that actually bought a house he was from Canada, and it took him 6 months to get his house deal done because of the fact things work so slow. And Canadians, to get their money into Mexico, there's some real challenge to that. Just like it can be for those that are in the States too. It all depends on what the transaction is, where it's coming from. There's different factors that go into all of that. But just know that there are some challenges sometimes when you're dealing with banking. Here's another con, and that is that getting used to the denominations and the currency here in Mexico, the coins and the paper money. It takes a little bit getting used to which is which and how much is that worth and what can you do with that. A real easy thing to remember is for every 100 pesos, that's $5. So for every 1,000 pesos, that's $50. So when it comes to coming here and checking the place out and seeing things, just know that getting used to the currency can be a challenge. It was for us. I've gotten a lot better with it today, but we've been here for 4 years, so I've done a lot more. Driving in Mexico. Some people have real issues with driving here. I don't mind driving here. I'm from Southern California, so that might have part of my easeability of being able to drive here. The motorcycles do, they'll go and pass you either side, on the left side of your car or on the right side. So you pretty much at times have to have your head on a swivel. So it's just things to be looking out for. Also, when it comes to drivers, stoplights, traffic lights, signs, traffic signs here are just suggestions. So, and you'll see that for yourself. They're just suggestions. They aren't always followed because they're not really monitored, nor are they really enforced. So that takes place here. There's also a helmet law, and you'll see motorcycles riding around with no helmets, or they'll have 4 people on a motorcycle, no license plate. There's different things there's laws, but they're not always really followed or enforced. Cobblestone streets, they're rough. You've always got to be looking down if you're walking on the cobblestone street, because if you're in Ajijic, the sidewalks are narrower there. Here in Chapala, they're wider, but in Ajijic, they're narrower. And so if you're in a wheelchair, you would find a lot more easeability of getting around and being in Chapala than you would Ajijic. So when it comes to the cobblestone, now we've been here 4 years. We drove our car down, so we have not changed our shocks. We did change our tires, but when it comes to the car, I mean, it doesn't do a favor to the car by any means. So when you're driving on the cobblestone or walking on, you just got to be careful. When we first got here, when we first were moving here, we actually told there was a bunch of vicious dogs, street dogs that are all vicious. Well, we haven't seen those. But one more thing to chalk up to Facebook, people say all kinds of things, and they get concerned about all kinds of things. They're figuring that's something that's a big issue with a lot of people, and there's no vicious dogs. I've never seen a dog fight here. Never seen one. Okay, trashy. Now, you know, I've heard expats talk about it being trashy. You know, where we live, trash is picked up 3 times a day. I'm sorry, 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I understand that in La Floresta, they have a regular trash run, and also in Ajijic. Now, I see those vehicles, the trash trucks, you see them all the time. So when people are concerned about trash, normally that's somebody I think that's looking just to be negative about something. Yeah, there's areas where there's more trash, because maybe it doesn't get picked up there. But it isn't like it's just everywhere you look, there's going to be every trash all over the place. The topes, which are also called speed bumps, they can be challenging. There's a lot of them in different areas, but the whole reason of them is to keep people's speed down, and they definitely do that. Do I see that as being a negative? No. It's just part of Mexico. It's part of the culture, and it's protecting the people that live in these towns and pueblos. Some people have stated that it's a real con for going into Walmart and everything's in Spanish. Well, this is an entitled thing. So when we leave our country and we come to Mexico, we're in a different country. Would we expect people to come to the States and when they go to Walmart, they see everything in Spanish? So here, everything's in Spanish. So you take a You either learn Spanish from a Spanish class, which are those going on here. You take your Google Translate you use to find out what things are. So there's ways of getting around that. But just because Walmart's got everything in Spanish doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean it's bad. Now, they don't necessarily carry everything you'd be accustomed to in the States, but still, that doesn't make it a bad thing. So if you don't speak the language, Google Translate, and there are classes that you can actually get around. One of our viewers and subscribers, they actually have Spanish classes. They actually put on Spanish classes. It's the wife of our pastor, so she's got her master's. Well, she's been teaching Spanish for like the last 25 years. So really, really good. So if you're coming, that's definitely something that you'll want to make sure that you get a part of and learn Spanish. I mentioned entitlement. You know, what amazes me is when expats come here, they're upset that this isn't here or that's not here. Or, you know, Barbara and I, ourselves, we left the States for a reason, which I would say that probably 99% of all the other expats have left the States or Canada for reasons. There is no reason to feel or to put onto the Mexican people that their country needs to be like the States. It's a bunch of hogwash. It doesn't need it. It's Mexico. We come here for the charm. We come here for the culture, to embrace the culture. We come here to be around warm Mexican people. That's the way it is in Mexico. If you're entitled and you plan on bringing all your thoughts and things, and everybody's going to have to be and see your political view or your faith or the way you live or where your financial status is, you know what? Maybe this isn't a place for you. People come here to retire. They have a different pace of life. And some find that a negative here, the pace of life. It's slower. You're not having to go 500 miles an hour. You'll see that there's congestion in certain places because they're 2-lane highways. So just know that there's other people living here. And I always try to make sure I'm yielding to the Mexican people, whether walking across the street, riding a bike across the street, driving across the street. I really try to yield because, again, we're in their country. We're in their country. So being able to be here and stop and smell the roses and live life with less pace is a real plus. To be able to stop and smell the roses. Grocery stores. So when we got here, if there's one thing that I had a challenge with here was eating. Finding places I like to eat. Being raised in California and then in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I was kind of raised on Mexican food. My stepmother is from New Mexico. So when we moved to New Mexico, my dad got remarried. We lived on Mexican food. I mean, beans and rice and, you know, fried potatoes and burritos and tacos and quesadillas. I mean, that's what we lived on. So what's happened is we got here and then we lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So there was Mexican food. So when we got here, the culture's different because we're so far south from the States. The influence isn't the same. So in this region, corn is grown. So the tortillas here are not flour, they're corn tortillas. Flour tortillas are actually up because wheat is grown up towards the border of the U.S. So when you go to the grocery store, you're not always going to find everything you're accustomed with. It's in the States. Now, what I do have to say is, Pancho started his first grocery store. In that grocery store, there's 20,000 items. And on Facebook, you would see people saying, hey, I can't find this. Pancho doesn't have that. Pancho doesn't have this. Pancho's, why did it get all ruffled feathers? Well, so Pancho built another grocery store that now has over 40,000 items. And it's amazing. There, you can find a mass variety of things from the States. Pancho goes to the States and he buys from Whole Foods, from Trader Joe's, he buys from Costco. So in his grocery stores, you're going to see a lot of things that we're accustomed to in the States. When I mentioned about me eating, trying to find restaurants that had food that I like to eat. Well, we've been here long enough for now, so I know where we can go. And if we end up, going out with friends and have a steak or whatever, I'm vegetarian. So I know where I can go and I know what I can eat. So it isn't the same as it was at that time, but also being able to grocery shop, and you'll hear people say that it's cheaper to actually, eat out than it is to eat at home. So that's a real popular statement. I mean, there's a lot of people, that's really how it is and what people see. So the grocery stores, there's plenty of them. You can find a lot of the things. I know something that I've looked for is extra chunky peanut butter, because that's how I get my protein in the morning. So you don't find that. Well, you found it here, but you didn't find it earlier. Also, Barbara likes to bake pies, and she uses the pre-made Pillsbury pie crust, and they don't have those here. So there's times when we have folks that come from the States and they're driving down and they can get, a little cooler, put those in it and bring them to her. So just know that shopping here has become a lot better than the 4 years when we first moved here at the grocery stores, a lot better. Because there's Pancho's, there's Super Lake, there's Soriana's. So there are other places that you can now shop at. I mentioned about the currency adaptability. It just takes getting used to it. It's just like anything else. Once you've done it a bunch of times, and you see it over and over and over. And what does a 50 peso look like? What does 20 peso look like when it comes to a bill? Or 100, or a 200, or a 500? It's different. So you just have to get used to that. Shouldn't be a con, but some make it that way. Mosquitoes. Well, when it rains here during the rainy season and there's puddled water, you'll see mosquitoes. Here they're called bobos because they are male mosquitoes. Male mosquitoes do not bite. But in order to have male mosquitoes, you also have to have female mosquitoes that mate. So I would tell you I would say there's a whole lot more bobos than there are mosquitoes that are be biting everybody. Because that isn't something that ends up taking place here the same that I hear everybody getting bit by mosquitoes. I don't hear that at all. So the mosquitoes are no problem. Facebook. Well, my con about Facebook is you find so much bad information. There's a gal that just came down for my service. She's moving here. I took her all around and we got talking, and she said she couldn't believe all the things that she's heard and seen talked about on Facebook. Just a bunch of trash, stuff that isn't even true. But people want to make something big out of it. So I think Facebook, there's just a lot of things that are talked about, spoken about on Facebook that isn't actually the truth. So I tell people, you just have to be careful of the voice that you listen to, the voice that you're getting your information from. That's really important. Okay, so we are just ending the hottest month of the year, May. And we've gotten, I want to say we've been in the high 80s, and I think there was a day it was 91. But because of I call them trade winds, or the breezes that come off the lake and such. I mean, at night you can open up the windows and you got a nice breeze going through. So, and it's 1 month. It isn't like it's all year round. So May is the hottest part of the year. But here's the blessing. The blessing is that, right following is the rainy season. So we've already started the rainy season. We're having rain at night. And that's how the rainy season ends up happening, is it rains at night and it's beautiful during the day. So, but that's not a negative, So it's just one of those kind of things that people can find negatives about, and you just don't have to take that class. The roads can be sketchy. You can have potholes. There can be abnormalities in the road, or if it's got brick or cement, it's got pieces missing. I mean, that can happen, but it isn't like it's everywhere. So it's not as bad. Loud music. So there are folks that come and they actually get one of the bungalows or Airbnb in Ajijic. Well, Ajijic has a large concentration of Mexican families. So you're going to hear music. You're going to hear celebrations. You're going to see parades. You're going to hear the firecrackers. You're going to hear the fireworks. You're going to hear the music. It's all part of the culture. If you don't want to be around that or hear that, don't live in Ajijic. Live somewhere else. There's other places to live. And if that's something that really bothers you, just know you don't have to live there. You can choose where you live, where it's quieter. I would say one thing is when you come as an expat, you have a target on your back. And when I say a target, I'm just mentioning you can kind of get taken advantage of, maybe some business dealings and such. And it isn't just Mexican people that you just got to sometimes be careful of, but expats that are in real estate or are involved in business dealings or selling a car or whatever. You just got to be careful. So those are all the negatives. Now let's talk about the positives, the good stuff. I can't over explain the wonderful and the warmth of the Mexican people here. They're very warm, very accepting of the Americans, very accepting of the expats. They don't hate us. It's almost like they embrace the expats too. So it's important that we embrace them. Spanish classes. There's Spanish classes here. As I mentioned, our pastor's wife, she's been teaching for 25 years, and her master's is in teaching Spanish. And then she also teaches English to Spanish speakers. So, positive thing, you're able to take the class and be able to be a part of that. Plus here, a pro is we live in the #2 best climate per National Geographic magazine in the world. #2 best climate in the world. It's wonderful here. You can wake up and live the day to day, go to sleep tonight, wake up tomorrow morning, and it's just like it was today. Beautiful, gorgeous. Seeing the lake, being able to live at Lakeside, I'm a stone's throw, just a couple blocks actually from the lake right now. It is really close. And it's wonderful to be living by a lake. And it just makes you feel good, and it's just a different attitude that you have. I believe we need to live in an attitude of gratitude. But being here, it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. There's a bike path, the 20 miles in between Chapala to Jocotepec. You can drive a bike the 20 miles. You can walk it. You can run it. Whatever you'd like to do, but there's a bike path separate from the street, from the highway. That's a wonderful thing. A lot of people have e-bikes. If you're concerned about your balance, you can get a trike. Trike's got the baskets in the front and behind them for those that don't want to get a car. So that's an option. And speaking of that, I have folks that come here that says I don't want a car. I've got folks that come here that say I have to have a car. Well, I'm one. I would not live here without a car. But there's folks that don't live our lifestyle. I'm always shooting videos. We're active. I'm supposed to be retired, but I'm not. So I would just say that getting out on a bike, I rode my bike to where I'm at right now. It's nice to get on a bike and get some exercise and be able to ride and just see creation, just see people. It's wonderful. So the bikes, rainy season, June to October. Rains at night like crazy, storms, and then it's beautiful during the day. blue skies, clear blue skies. It's amazing how that happens here. Another thing is, because of the fact that we're on the same latitude as Hawaii, a vast majority of the tropical plants also grow here. Everything from gardenias, everything to plumerias, large birds of paradise. We've got jacaranda, which is jacaranda in Spanish. We've got, we've got so many, a bunch of plants. The rainy season. Mountains are all green. As you can see behind me, things are starting to green up too. Really wonderful. The flowers, the trees are in bloom. We have an established expat community here. So if you're looking to move in here, you could just plug right in, and there's a lot of expats that live here. During the low season, we're right around 25,000, 25, 30,000. High season, we're right around 50 to 60. It ebb and flows how many are here, number of people moving in and such. So, but there's a lot of things that go on. Lake Chapala Society, they've got things, if you like volunteering, there are orphanages that need help. There's all kinds of crafts and such that's at the Lake Chapala Society. What I tell folks is you can come here and find 99% of the expats living between like West Aihihi to San Antonio, which is probably where a large amount of the expats live. Then you got Chapala and beyond. So we have an established expat community. There are plenty of churches, whatever faith that you might be. So there's plenty of places for worship. They've got non-denominational, they've got Baptist, Catholic, Anglican, Presbyterian. There's a lot. Different faiths, different churches. Slower pace of life, smell the roses. There is an international airport in Guadalajara, 30-minute drive away. So you literally could be at the States within 2 hours. You can go anywhere you want. If you're coming and you're concerned about if you're going to be able to see your family or the grandkids, in a half an hour, you can be on a plane on your way back to the States. It's only 30 minutes away. I mentioned earlier the beauty of living on a lake. I came here with some real health issues, and a lot of those are a lot less than they were before, because I deal with severe depression, PTSD, bipolar, and ADHD. I take less medication here. So I think it has to do with the pace of life. I go slower and just a different pace. Wonderful place. The vibrancy and the colors I've mentioned about the flowers and the trees. Huge variety of restaurants. Huge. Mexican, Italian, Chinese, Vietnamese, seafood, steakhouses, vegan, vegetarian. You can find, I would say you can probably find anything that you'd like to eat here. A restaurant somewhere. Affordable medical and dental care. Very affordable. If you're in Mexico, or if you're here, and let's say, for example, you get Medicare and you're needing to use it for urgent care or for emergency, you can actually utilize your Medicare benefits under having the Advantage plan. That's something you need to talk to an insurance broker, or if you need information, I can forward some information to you. But Barbara was in the hospital about 6 months ago, and Medicare took care of it. We actually have a video that we did specifically about her staying in the hospital and how Medicare took care of it. The ease of banking. It starts to become easier and easier. You'll be able to find out that's part of the things I do on the tour. We talk about banking. I show people where the ATMs are at, that you can actually get the best exchange rate and how you do that. So every time you're able to save the money from that aspect. So knowing that's an important thing, how to get money from an ATM or how to get it from the bank. If you have an interest in my tour and relocation service, you can go ahead and email me. I'll have my information at the bottom of the video and also in the inside of the description. Ease of banking, I mentioned about the exchange rate. If you have an investment account, if you want to have an investment account, there is a bank that pays 11.5% on your money. It's $150, seasoned for 90 days, and pays out at 11.5%. I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of us that leave the States for all different reasons. Medical, financial, politics, whatever it may be. We come here for those reasons. There's no reason for us to try to make it here like it is in the States. I just tell folks, I says, you want to leave the politics, having to cram stuff down people's throat. It isn't necessary, and it doesn't have to happen here. Affordable living. Rentals. I've had rentals that have been at as least as $300 a month to live at. I know somebody right now renting for $275 a month. Purchases. There's places here that are available for less than $150,000, less than $200,000 that you can purchase right now. This is May of 2025, so there's a lot of availability out there. I at one time was in real estate, so that's how I know what's going on here. Access to many pharmacies. Being able to find your medications for a lot cheaper than you might find in other places like in the States. It really is. And you don't always need a prescription to get what you want to get. There's a lot of times you just show them the bottle and they fill it for you. It's pretty cool. I mentioned the grocery stores, but I also want you to know that there are a lot of tianguis. Tianguis are like farmers markets where you can get fresh groceries, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh meats. There's one in Chapala on Mondays. There's one on Tuesdays, West Ajijic. There's one on Wednesdays, which is the largest one, downtown Ajijic. So if you enjoy going to the markets, those are available. Those are literally, those are located here and very accessible, and you can really get great deals and bargains being able to get localized fresh fruits and vegetables. So those are the pros and the cons, or I should say the cons and the pros. I hope that you found that helpful. If you have an interest in coming down and being able to get the best out of your visit, of getting to know what Lake Chapala is all about, again, you can reach out to me by my email and just include a good contact number, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can and let you know exactly what I do and what you get for your money, and how I've had well over 100 of my clients have moved here. So, so as always, thank you for supporting and being a part of this community and channel. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you on the next video.